Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm Vladimir Dutu.
And I'm Christine Johnson.
The corruption scandal that rocked international soccer fans has forced FIFA's president to resign. Sepp Blatter made the announcement today, just days since he was re-elected for an unprecedented fifth term.
I will call an extraordinary Congress and put at disposal my function. It is going to be held as soon as possible, and a new president will be elected to follow me as the new president. I will continue to exercise my function as president of FIFA until the new elections are going to be held.
CBS News has learned that the resignation was precipitated by a revolt within FIFA's executive committee over the weekend.
We don't know yet when Blatter will officially step down, but this effectively ends the reign of the most powerful man in the global sports world. Mark Phillips has more on what this means for international soccer.
The big question the entire world of international soccer, and even beyond that, is asking right now is what has happened between last Friday and today, in just these 4 days, that has changed the attitude of Sepp Blatter from one of absolute defiance to something like surrender. What he said today is that he will step down. This, of course, comes after 17 years in the job, and a reaction last week in the face of all of these allegations, both from the U.S. and from the Swiss, that there was rank corruption throughout FIFA. Corruption, it's important to point out, which has not included him amongst those indicted so far. What he has said, though, is that he will stay on in the short term, that he's asked the FIFA executive to call an extraordinary council because the next potential for a presidential election wouldn't have been for more than a year. By FIFA's own constitution, there's a 4-month lead period, a 4-month notice period required for the selection of a new president. Sepp Blatter has said that he will not be standing, surprise, surprise, in this next election. And the FIFA executive now says that it is very likely that this extraordinary session at which a new president, not Blatter, will be selected will happen sometime between December of this year and March of next year. But effectively, the Blatter period and the Blatter power within world football, which was close to omnipotent, we're now at the end of that period. He is gone, and already international soccer authorities from the various national federations, including the one here in England, are saying that the next World Cups, which, as you rightly say, have been awarded to Qatar and to Russia, that people in those countries might now get very nervous as to whether those are going to happen.
Blatter's leadership has been under intense scrutiny following the arrest of 7 FIFA officials. Joining us now to talk about this is Matt Garahan of the Financial Times. Matt, thanks for being with us. This is an extraordinary happening there, Matt. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in the world of football. What can you tell us about what may have happened? Could it be perhaps that the Attorney General here in the United States, along with the FBI Director James Comey, and the investigation going on in Switzerland, may have uncovered something that Blatter was directly involved with?
Well, they were looking for a smoking gun. I'm not sure if they necessarily found one. But several things happened since last week when Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, came out with the sort of raft of charges against senior FIFA officials. Sponsors started to get cold feet. We heard from Visa saying that they were very keen on an overhaul at FIFA. And I think the mood in Europe changed as well. The leading football powers in Europe were threatening to break away from FIFA to stage an alternative World Cup in 2018. An alternative to the one in Qatar that we talked about, which was a huge deal and a very, very bad news for Sepp Blatter.
So, you know, Mr. Blatter came out with a statement that he basically, read to the world, and I'm sure all of the football nation was watching. And in it, he said that he cherishes FIFA more than anything, and I want to do, quote, only what is best for FIFA and for football. Yeah. But given the circumstances that are surrounding him, do you think it was also what is also best for Mr. Blatter?
I think that's probably true. I mean, I think this is a guy who's held on to his position for 15 years. I mean, I interviewed the former General Secretary of FIFA in 2002, who had made allegations about Sepp Blatter and allegations about improper payments to to FIFA officials. So the sort of the whiff of corruption has surrounded him and FIFA, you know, best part of 15 years. I think the pressure has built to the point where, you know, he's now was pretty much a wanted man, and resigning was the only option he really had left.
Yeah, Matt, I mean, Blatter's been at FIFA. This would have been his 40th anniversary there at FIFA. As you say, right. He's been there for many years as president. He's the third longest serving president of FIFA. Is this the first step in seeing a cleaning of the house of FIFA that we're going to see? It
has to be, really. I mean, he's the guy at the top. He sets the rules, he sets the agenda, but you won't really see a new FIFA emerge until there is a complete overhaul of its processes, of the way its members are voted for and its members are elected, and in the way that you bid for World Cups. I mean, the 2018 World Cup in Qatar, you know, there have been allegations about improper payments made by Qatari representatives to members around the world that are, you know, the corruption goes on, and you won't change FIFA and won't change its image or the impression of it until you really reform it from top to bottom.
Sorry, go ahead. So, Matt, I just want to ask you another question that I think that a lot of people are probably wondering. What happens next? We understand, obviously, that a lot of people perhaps thought that Prince Ali was going to get the presidency. He was the opponent to Sepp Blatter for this recent re-election. But now we understand that the Congress, the FIFA Congress, has to meet again. Now, this is a 209-member body. I think they have more people than the UN that are part of this FIFA organization, and they have to decide what happens next. Is that how it goes? Yeah, it's the most bureaucratic, slow-moving organization in the world. You've never seen anything as bureaucratic and badly run as FIFA. They're going to have an extraordinary Congress, which means Blatter's still around, possibly up until December. And then they have a vote on a new president. And it could be anybody from world football. I mean, Luis Figo, who was a big player for Portugal. He was a kind of, you know, Portugal's biggest star before Cristiano Ronaldo. He had stood before and had pulled out. He may run again. You may see someone from the UK or from other figures from Europe standing. But again, as I said before, you really need a complete overhaul of FIFA and its processes before anything like transparency, anything like accountability can really come to it as an organization.
Is there any individual in the ranks there, Matt, that you see as that individual that can go in there and clean house?
Well, yeah, the former chief executive of Manchester United, a guy called David Gill, was, well, I think the most senior English official at FIFA, and he had been elected to a senior post and resigned in the wake of the charges last week. He's a terrific executive and a terrific administrator, and he would be a great person to stand. Michel Platini, who runs UEFA, may opt to stand as well. Anybody other than Blatter pretty much could do a better job. I mean, it is a terribly run organization, and he is the worst of the worst.
Yeah. Matt, I'm wondering, and a lot of people I think are wondering this as well, how much are Russia and Qatar in jeopardy of losing the World Cup? And is this going to have, are there going to be even more eyes on the allegations that in Qatar, many migrant workers have suffered in building the infrastructure to put in place that World Cup?
Right. Well, yes, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. I mean, the Qatar World Cup and the awarding of the World Cup to Qatar is an absolute scandal of the highest order. And the thousands of migrant workers who are dying in the desert and in the heat building these stadiums, which are going to be used once or twice, is an absolute scandal also. I think the Qatar election, the allegations about corruption around the staging of that tournament are greater than with Russia. Russia is in 3 years' time, the 2018 World Cup. Rerunning that vote would be difficult, and you'd probably provoke major hostilities with Vladimir Putin, who's already spoken out about American overreach and American efforts to undermine the Russian World Cup. But the Qatari World Cup in 2022 shouldn't go ahead. It makes absolutely no sense to go ahead. The vote was rigged. The allegations of corruption are there for anyone to see, and they should have another vote and elect a different staging country.
Well, on this side of the pond, Matt, I think after last week, if you didn't know who Sepp Blatter was before, you certainly do now.
That's right,
absolutely.
for sure.
Matt Garahan from the Financial Times, thanks for your time. Appreciate
Thanks, guys.
it.
Thank you.